Imagine waking up one morning and discovering that the money your country uses is no longer the most trusted money on Earth. Not because it collapsed overnight, not because of some dramatic revolution, but because little by little, the rest of the world simply stopped needing it. That might sound familiar today. We hear endless debates about the future of the US dollar. But here's the fascinating part. This has happened before. In fact, just over 100 years ago, there was another currency that seemed completely untouchable. A currency so powerful that countries held it in their vaults, banks used it for international trade, and investors trusted it more than almost anything else. That currency was the British pound. And yet somehow, despite ruling global finance for generations, it lost its throne. The mystery is not that it happened. The mystery is how it happened so slowly that many people barely noticed until it was already over. And the answer reveals something important about how global money really works. To understand the pound's rise, we need to travel back to the 19th century. At the time, Britain was the closest thing the world had ever seen to a global superpower. Its empire stretched across continents. Its navy controlled major shipping routes. Its factories produced enormous amounts of the world's goods. And perhaps most importantly, London became the financial center of the planet. If you were a merchant in Argentina, a banker in Egypt, or a trader in India, chances are you relied on London in some way. Think of it like the internet today. You don't have to live where the servers are located to use them. In the same way, countries didn't have to be part of Britain to depend on Britain's financial system.
And that created a powerful network effect. The more people used pounds, the more useful pounds became. The more useful pounds became, the more people wanted to use them. It's the same reason social media platforms become dominant. Nobody joins because they're the first user. They join because everyone else is already there. By the late 1800s, the pound wasn't just Britain's currency. It was the world's currency. A merchant shipping coffee from Brazil might settle payments in pounds. A railway project in South America could be financed in pounds. International contracts were written in pounds. Global trade flowed through pounds. Britain had built something incredibly valuable: trust. And trust, more than gold or silver, is the true foundation of every reserve currency. Now, here's where things get interesting. Many people assume a dominant currency loses power because someone suddenly creates a better one. But history usually works differently. Dominance is rarely destroyed. It's slowly eroded. Imagine owning the best restaurant in town.
You don't wake up one morning with 0 customers. Instead, a few customers try another place. Then a few more. Then another competitor opens. Years later, you realize your monopoly is gone. That's much closer to how reserve currencies lose their position. And Britain's first major crack appeared in a place nobody expected: war. When World War I began in 1914, Britain was still enormously powerful. But wars are expensive, extremely expensive. Governments suddenly need ships, weapons, supplies, and soldiers. And all of that costs money. Lots of money. Britain spent massive sums fighting the war. To finance those costs, it borrowed heavily. And here's a small insight that still matters today. When countries become heavily indebted, maintaining financial dominance becomes harder. Debt isn't automatically bad, but it can reduce flexibility. It can limit options, and it can gradually weaken confidence. During the war, Britain wasn't just spending money. It was also selling foreign investments and borrowing from abroad, especially from the United States.
That's when the balance of power began shifting. The country that had once been the world's biggest lender was increasingly becoming a borrower. And on the other side of the Atlantic, America was getting richer, much richer. Picture 2 businesses. One keeps taking loans to stay afloat. The other suddenly starts accumulating cash. Which one do investors begin trusting more? The answer seems obvious. Yet many people at the time still believed Britain would remain permanently dominant. After all, London was still London. The empire was still enormous. The pound was still respected. But beneath the surface, something fundamental was changing. Money was flowing toward America. Industry was growing in America. Gold reserves were accumulating in America. And financial influence was increasingly shifting toward America. Then came an even bigger challenge. After World War I ended, Britain faced a difficult decision. Should it accept that the world had changed, or should it try to restore the old system? Britain chose restoration. In 1925, it returned the pound to the gold standard at its pre-war value.
At first glance, this sounded logical. The goal was to signal strength, to show the world that the pound remained as reliable as ever. But there was a problem. The economic reality had changed. The pound was effectively priced too high. British exports became less competitive. Economic pressures increased. Unemployment remained stubbornly high. It's a little like trying to squeeze into a suit that fit perfectly 10 years ago. The suit didn't change. You did. And eventually, reality wins. This brings us to one of the most important lessons in financial history. Markets care about confidence, but confidence has to be supported by reality. If the story and the facts drift too far apart, the story eventually breaks. Then came the Great Depression. Global trade collapsed. Financial systems shook. Countries faced extraordinary stress. And in 1931, Britain made a historic decision. It abandoned the gold standard. For many observers, this was shocking.
The country that had long symbolized financial stability was admitting that the old system no longer worked. Yet here's the surprising twist. The pound didn't instantly disappear from global finance. In fact, it remained important for decades. This is where most people misunderstand reserve currencies. There is rarely a dramatic moment where one currency falls off a cliff. Instead, there is a long transition, a very long transition, sometimes lasting generations. Think about how long it takes people to switch habits. Even when a better option exists, many stick with what they know. Countries behave similarly. Financial systems have inertia. Banks have habits. Governments have existing relationships. Changing all of that takes time. By the 1930s and 1940s, the United States had emerged as the world's largest economy. Its industrial capacity was enormous. Its financial resources were growing. And then World War II accelerated everything. Britain once again faced immense costs. The war ultimately ended with victory, but victory came with a price. The country emerged heavily indebted. Its economy was strained. Its empire was beginning to shrink. Meanwhile, America stood in a very different position. Its industrial base was intact. Its economy was booming. Its gold reserves were massive. And much of the world owed money to Washington rather than London. Imagine two banks. One is struggling after years of withdrawals. The other is overflowing with deposits. Which one becomes the center of global finance? Again, the answer becomes obvious. And then came the moment that changed the financial world. In 1944, representatives from dozens of nations gathered in New Hampshire for the Bretton Woods Conference. The goal was to design a new international monetary system, and the outcome reflected the new reality. The US dollar became the central pillar. Currencies would be linked to the dollar. The dollar would be linked to gold. For the first time, the pound was no longer sitting at the center of the global system. Now, if you've stayed with me this far, here's the answer to the mystery we opened with. The British pound did not lose world dominance because Britain suddenly became weak. It did not lose dominance because of one decision. It did not lose dominance because another currency magically appeared. It lost dominance because the foundations that created trust gradually shifted elsewhere. Economic power shifted. Industrial power shifted. Financial power shifted. And eventually, global trust shifted too. The reserve currency follows the center of gravity of the world economy. Not instantly, not perfectly, but over time. That's the lesson many people miss. Currencies don't dominate simply because governments declare them important. They dominate because people around the world find them useful, trustworthy, and connected to the strongest economic networks. The pound story is ultimately not a story about failure. It's a story about change. For more than a century, Britain built the financial system that powered global trade. Its currency became the backbone of international commerce. And even after losing its top position, the pound remained one of the world's most respected currencies. But history reminds us that no financial system stays frozen forever. Economic power evolves, technology evolves, trade patterns evolve, and eventually, money evolves too. That's why the rise and fall of the British pound isn't just a story about the past.
It's a roadmap for understanding the future. Because whenever people ask whether today's dominant currency could someday face the same challenge, they're really asking a much bigger question. Not who has the strongest money today, but who will earn the world's trust tomorrow.